Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 191 of the Debt Free Dad podcast. So a recent survey conducted by SecureSave from August of 2023 shows that 63% of workers are unable to pay a $500 emergency expense with cash. Now, the people surveyed said that they would turn to friends, family, credit cards, or even their employer for help. And even 64% of those making $100,000 indicate that they are also dealing with financial stress. And an article from CNBC that featured this survey indicates that inflation and the fact that COVID money is running out may be to blame for these numbers, but is that really the problem? We are going to be getting into all of this on today's show. Stay tuned.
You're listening to the Debt Free Dad podcast with Brad Nelson. Brad and his co-hosts experience the anxiety of living paycheck to paycheck before learning the fundamentals of financial security. They are now on a mission to empower regular people to pay off their debt for good and enjoy happier, less stressful lives. Keep listening for inspirational interviews, tips, tricks, and practical advice to gain financial freedom.
Hey, how's everyone doing today? You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search Brad Nelson, Debt Free Dad. And as always, welcome to today's show. By the way, I should clarify that. You may not be able to find us on Instagram right now. You got to love social media. So Facebook, for some reason, decided to take down our Debt Free Dad page out of nowhere with no explanation, no warning. We've had that page for, nearly 8 years now, I think, and have never had any issues. All of a sudden, just out of the blue, they took our page down along with our Instagram account. So we started a new one out there. So it's The Debt Free Dad. If you want to find us on Facebook and refollow our page. Instagram is going to follow behind here shortly, but we're apologize for that. We're not sure why Facebook did it. They didn't give us any explanation, didn't even give us any, nothing. They're just like, sorry. That's it. So we basically started a new page. That was a lot of fun over these last few weeks. So a little irritating. But anyways, if you're following us on Facebook, just make sure you refollow us at The Debt Free Dad, and we will get an Instagram account up here shortly as well. So, guys, I want to get into this article before we get into the conversation today. And this article was written on CNBC.com. It was written by Lori Konish, and it was titled 63% of workers unable to pay a $500 emergency expense. Survey finds how employers may help change that. So this article dives in a little bit into maybe some resources that could be some potential for some of these individuals. But let's read through this article, and then I want to kind of have a reaction from you guys, and we'll have some discussions around this. I think today's conversation is going to be pretty good because, man, some of the excuses that are going around out there right now because of where people are at with their finances, I think it's a little ridiculous for some because we've got some good stuff here today. So as high inflation persists, many workers may be struggling to come up with the cash to cover an unexpected emergency expense. To that point, 63% of employees are unable to cover a $500 emergency expense, according to a new survey from SecureSave, a provider of financial technology platform to help employers provide emergency saving benefits. And another sign of trouble, hardship withdrawals, whereby emergency money is taken from a retirement account, are on the rise, according to recent reports. All people are looking for in life is to be secured, to not have to worry about if something goes wrong. What are they going to do, said personal finance expert Susie Orman, which I love Susie. Not a big fan, but I'm glad they got a quote from her. That's awesome. A co-founder. Oh, wow. Imagine that. A co-founder of SecureSave. Imagine that. The only way you can ever be secure is when you have savings, Orman said. Respondents told SecureSave they would either turn to a friend or family member for money with 19%, or cover the expense with a credit card with 18%. Just 4% would ask their employer for help, according to the survey of 1,600 adults taken between June and July of 2023. Even with high earners are struggling, with 64% of employees who are earning more than $100,000 indicating that financial stress has affected their productivity at work. Meanwhile, 35% said that they are living paycheck to paycheck, and 64% said that their financial stress has affected their work productivity. People are out of pandemic money and have racked up credit card balances and are still paying higher prices due to inflation, said Devin Miller, co-founder and CEO of SecureSave. They're scratching and clawing to find money they can from anywhere, Miller said. So that's the article. So I guess my question to you guys, and I'll get your feedback on that. By the way, I want to clarify with Susie Orman. Very, I think just the Dave Ramsey, I think they're both the same. They just yell at a lot of people. I'm just not a big fan of either one of them. If you ever listen to their shows, now I used to like Dave a while back ago, but they just seem very cranky now that they're older, and not a huge fan. So that's where I was coming from with Susie Orman. Just a personal thing of mine. So anyways, so inflation and COVID money. Has this been the cause of some of this financial stress that we're dealing with? What are your guys' thoughts on some of this stuff?
No. I mean, inflation a little bit, but COVID money, everybody couldn't cover a $500 emergency before COVID. So that's not an excuse. It's like, what did you do with that COVID money? Did you buy a big screen TV? Then that's on you, not paying off your debt or whatever.
Well, here's my concern. First of all, let's talk about Susie Orman.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. At least with Dave Ramsey, he's been consistent with his message, and it's a very unpopular message with a lot of folks.
Right.
But he stayed consistent with it. Yeah, he's cranky, and he's got more cranky as he's getting older. But Susie Orman, she changes what she says in her message so she can stay popular.
Right.
That's what I find it difficult to embrace that.
Or to sell things.
Have a message, stick with it. And even if it's not popular, at least you can claim it as your own. Now, where's this COVID money y'all keep talking about?
Yeah.
We need to do an episode on how do you go back and get your COVID money that you didn't get? Because I wasn't aware there was any COVID money to be gotten.
It's true.
I got a little, I mean, we got some checks during that time.
Sure. Okay.
You know, and so like, you know, especially if you had kids, I mean, we had kids and, you know, we got some decent amount of money. You know, so during that time, you know, and we did get a couple, at least in the United States, we did get a couple, you know, times where we got helped out on.
But wasn't that like almost three years ago?
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, has it continued since then and I just didn't get my check? Or, I mean, now granted, I didn't get as much money as some folks because my kids were grown. So shame on me for having grown kids and not getting as much money. But that seemed to me ran out 3 years ago. That's the only thing I'm trying to figure out.
That's where I get confused about the COVID money thing too, because like that was so long ago. I mean,
in Canada now they're just asking for it all back. People took it that weren't supposed to take it. They gave it to them, and now they just want their money back. It's,
right.
Yeah, it's a
do they think that
happening here?
Do they think that $1,400 check was supposed to last for 3 years?
Right.
So,
That's what I don't understand about them using that as an excuse in this article. The other thing is I mean, I get inflation. I can respect inflation, but I can't say that that's the only reason why people are struggling. In fact, we have an article here written from CBS News back in 2017, and that survey showed, this is 2017, so that's 6 years ago. So that survey showed that 57% of people didn't have enough money to cover a $500 emergency.
Yeah, it's not new. It's
right.
not.
It's not new.
I taught this since 2008, and back in 2008 when I started teaching it, it was the same statistics. So here we are 15 years later, and inflation, yeah, it's gotten much higher, but it wasn't the cause. COVID wasn't the cause. The drying up of COVID money wasn't the cause. So what is the cause?
Right. But we all know what it does. I mean, it all comes down to personal choices and mismanagement of our money.
Well, I will say though, if I was in the same spot I was in before, inflation would hit me really hard.
Oh, for sure.
But now I just have a little less money to play with.
Right.
Like I don't have as much fun money, let's say.
Right.
But I don't have any debt. So that.
But see, now people would say, Amber, you're out of touch. You're out of touch with reality.
Yeah.
You're out of touch, Amber. Well, no, Amber just took freaking responsibility and she got herself out of debt, and now inflation isn't as bad. But people would call you, mainstream media, or people who want to follow this, I guess this lie that the inflation is the problem with everybody's finances. They would say you're completely out of touch with normal people now, Amber. But yet you're a normal person.
I'm normal, but I'm not doing normal things.
Oh,
Really?
that's a good one.
Wait, she's one of those rich, greedy, evil people. Because if you're not a broke, average American middle class person, or I guess Canadian, you must be a rich, greedy person. I think what you said though, Amber, is the idea is that it didn't cause none of this has caused people to not have money for emergencies. Okay, you just made a decision to do something different, and now it doesn't impact you as much. But for those who were still in our shoes where we were, 5, 10, 15 years ago, I get it. I get it that it's hurting you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the solution's no different today than it was for any of us when we started this journey.
Right. Well, that's why I say when I go back to saying I respect what inflation is doing to some of those people who were already financially stressed out going into this. It's only tightening the grip that much more. But the reality is as we can see just from this survey, 57% 2017, 63% in 2023. The numbers haven't changed that much. So when I see articles like this, I shake my head. And the way that these articles spin is that it gets people to believe that, well, it's because of inflation or it's because of COVID is the reason our finances are in a bad place. And the reality is for a lot of people, and again, not everybody, but for a lot of people, that's really not the case. It really kind of comes down to more of your mismanagement of your money over the years than it does for these outside circumstances, I think.
So the name of this podcast is Why Don't We Save for Emergencies? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can debate, and I'm sure we'll get into why we don't. But while we're on this topic, things like inflation, all right, things like COVID when it came up, those are reasons why you should have an emergency fund.
Right.
And so let that be the beginning of the lesson. Why don't we save for emergencies? How do we start? Well, just remember right now, if you're suffering and you're having a difficult time with inflation, this is the very reason why you need to have an emergency fund.
Because and I think the reality, and I think and if you look at the history, especially in the United States, inflation is going to happen. Mm-hmm. It is not something that is just like, never have to worry about it. It's only happened, once in my lifetime. I mean, it ebbs and flows. We have it goes down, it goes back up, it goes down. And I think and I agree, Chris, I think you have to be prepared. And I think that's, for me, I mean, one of the reasons I think people don't save, especially when times are good, and this was 100% me. I mean, when times are good, and it's good, right? I remember before the housing crash, we bought a house, we were borrowing money. I remember I did our basement and I called to borrow money and they were like, fill this out. What's your name and address? Here's 70 grand. No questions asked. This is awesome. We must be doing amazing, and then then the housing crash happened and things got tough. And then all of a sudden, and at that time, it was the same as what everybody's doing right now with inflation. It's like, oh crap, what are we going to do?
Right.
Because I didn't care. I wasn't saving and preparing for my future and have an emergency fund. I was just living this high life of like, everything's great. Everything's perfect. Nothing's ever going to fail. Nothing's ever going to go bad. Everything's going to be fine. And then the second there's a crunch, it's like the sky is falling and it's not my fault. It's the housing market. Those bankers are the people who did this.
Right.
But it's like, I kind of did it to myself I had no business borrowing 70 grand. And the fact that they gave it to me just justified, like, well, they must think I can pay it back. And they just gave it to me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But they were giving everybody money at that time.
Right. Well, and that's what is like surprising, like with a lot of these articles and even like these, like the TikToks we've talked about and, where people are just complaining about the situation. Where is the personal accountability? Mm-hmm. There's none in these articles at all, ever. It's always something else's fault, the reason why we're struggling with our finances. And when you watch these TikToks, these people get on there, and again, I'm not saying that they're not having a hard time or they're not going through hard times or things aren't. I'm sure that they are. But nowhere in those are they like, holy crap, I've spent this. I mean, you can't tell me that all those people making those TikToks that are complaining about their finances are scraping every penny and they're to have a tight budget and they're doing everything. Give me a break, right? There's some people on there that are just complaining that they can't keep up with their current lifestyle because they're so broke, right? That's why you're complaining. And that's where I want to know is in these articles and in some of these things, where's the personal accountability? Because that's where your finances really change. And I think, Ryan, you mentioned that when you started to look at yourself and take responsibility for it, that's when real change can start to happen, I think.
The crunch you're feeling right now is from potentially years of things that you've done wrong with your money. And so when something bad happens, now you're feeling it. And rather than look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm the problem, it feels so much better, especially when there's TikTok and all these other avenues, when everyone else jumps on the blame game, to like not have to deal with yourself, because I can just push responsibility onto everyone else, and that, you know, feel good in this company of people who are all saying it's someone else's fault.
There's always going to be somebody to blame in the future. That's the thing to keep in mind. If it's the banker's fault this time, or it's COVID's fault this time, or it's the government for not handing out COVID money, or if it's the government for not forgiving my student loan, or if it's the housing market collapse, or if it's the dot-com bubble burst, there's always going to be something. So you can't, I mean, you're going to stay in the same position, continue to make the same excuses and blame other people until you realize that I need to take charge of it. I need to do something different, so that the next time whatever fill in the blank falls and happens, I'm ready for it. Because emergencies, and that's the term here, emergencies, they don't announce themselves. They don't tell you, hey, next week you're going to have an emergency, you know, or 3 months from now, go ahead and start saving up because you're going to step off the curb and break your ankle and not be able to work. You know, they don't say, hey, next year prices are going to go up quite rapidly, so go ahead and get ready now. No. You have to expect them to happen in the future, and you've got to plan for it, change your behaviors. And I know that's tough, and I know it's easy for us to sit here and act like we're almighty and we know it all. And I certainly hope that doesn't come across that way to the audience. But the truth is, you can change if you're willing to. You put the time and effort into it, and the time being important because it doesn't happen overnight. You can fix all this, so when the next fill in the blank happens, you're not hurt as much by it or hurt at all by it.
Right. Well, and I don't want, in a way, I don't want to apologize to the audience, because we used to be the audience. We all 5 of us used to be the audience. You know, we did. And if you're brand new to this show, yeah, this may come off and rub you the wrong way, and I hope it does, because the reality is all 5 of us on this show needed a wake-up call too. And it was because of our own doing is why we were in our situations. It wasn't anybody else's fault, although we played the victim just like everybody else is today. And I think that's why when I look at these articles and I see these TikToks and I see this social media posts about how broke everybody is, it's like I shake my head about it, because there's no personal accountability in it. And once I finally took some accountability for my own financial life and the mistakes that I was making, that's when the things started to change. And we see this with the people that we help here, the people that go through this podcast, listen to it, and start actually doing some of this stuff. They come back and they're like, holy crap, like this stuff really works. Yeah, it really does. And when you're willing to look at your financial life and say, I'm the problem and I need to ignore all the stuff I have no control over and just focus on me, amazing things can happen. But I'm just not seeing that with today's message. And, you know, we talked about this bias before on this podcast, not too many episodes ago, but, you know, Ryan, I know you bring it up. It's like, if you have this mindset of if it's everybody else's fault, you're only going to focus on the content that agrees with that. And you're not going to focus on things that are going to go against that, which is what you really need to be doing, because that's where change happens. It's not going to change you're not going to change. Your finances aren't going to improve by listening to the same redundant crap out there that's basically brainwashing you into the reasons why you think you're broke. The reality is you, you know, and if you can take control over what you can take control over, you know, you'll make better progress. So again, Chris, I'm not going to apologize because I don't think that does anybody good here listening to this show, you know?
Okay, we're walking a fine line here. I'm just trying to help you not become the cranky Dave Ramsey or the cranky Susie Orman, all right?
I'm not cranky at all. I'm not cranky about it.
I think we can all speak from, like you said, Brad, I think that perspective, we've all been in your shoes. Like if you're listening to this and you think that at all, or you're having a feeling of like, we don't know what we're talking about. We were there. I mean, I paid off my debt. It's been 3 years now, I think just about 3 years ago is when I finally became debt free. Prior to that, and like before I really started working on it, 100%, it was always everyone else's fault. Yeah. Like there was never anything. I mean, deep down inside, I knew it was my fault, but it was so much easier to not take any responsibility and to just throw up my hands and say, there's nothing I can do about it. I'll always have a credit card. I'll always have a car payment, and have 70 to 80% of the people out there agree with me, but even though they're all wrong.
It's so easy to get sucked into the social media reels and TikTok or whatever. I was getting sucked in, you guys. I'm not going to lie. When I was seeing all these people crying and complaining and this world is really rough, and I was getting sucked in, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad. And then you got to go back and remember. But when you get stuck in those, constant down negative crap, it's hard to get yourself out of it.
Right. But I think that's the thing. We're recognizing that it is bad. I'm not saying that it is good.
It's bad.
It's bad for a lot of people, but we also see people either start listening to this podcast and do stuff. We see people join Roots and start doing stuff. We've had, in fact, over the last couple of episodes, we've had people that have just started in the last 90 days, 2 months, and they're making amazing progress. And these are people who were stressed beyond belief. Like, I just, the reality is that you can make much better progress, and you can do better even when inflation is the way it is, even when, say, slow wage growth is the way that it is. Like, there are still things that you can do. The reality is a lot of people just don't want to do those things and put in the work and the sacrifices in order to do it. But the opportunity is there. You just got to take it.
Yeah, because nobody is taking your hand and swiping that credit card when you're at Target. Like, right. You are the one that's making that decision. Like yesterday, I went grocery shopping and I looked at this box of crackers that I buy all the time, and normally it's $2. And now all of a sudden it's $3.29. I'm like, screw that. I'm not eating these crackers. Like, I'll live without the crackers. But then today, on my way home from doing a bunch of errands, I'm like, I should go grab something to eat. And then I'm like, I just spent $40 on groceries that are in my fridge at home. I really just need to eat the food that's at my house. So right. Like, it's your choice to do these things.
And mind you, you might say, and think about what Katie just said, like, you're talking about $1.29, Katie, that's not big of a deal. Okay. You've been doing this a little over 5 years. How much debt have you paid off?
127 plus thousand, and I still have 26,000 ish to go. Yeah. But I'm counting those dollars.
Right, and that's how you get there, though. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to have to do that forever, although your mindset probably has changed quite a bit. Yes. But you won't have to do that forever. But see, that's the reality of what people need to understand, is that those little choices make a big difference over time. And Katie's journey is proof of that. So, guys, real quick, because I want to give some ideas too. Like, if you're out there and you want to start saving some money. So, guys, what have you guys done to be able to save the money that you guys have been able to save, especially when you first got started? What do you feel, just so people are out there, like, not getting cranky when they leave, but we're actually going to give them some usable tips. Like, what things helped you the most when you first got started and maybe building your first emergency fund or being able to start saving more consistently?
We really checked our eating out. Like, that was our biggest thing. We had to stop eating out so much and just plan our meals, and our food costs went down so much. It was almost like we gave ourselves a raise, and we were able to save our $1,000 really quick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Double check that for sure. Eating out is the biggest one.
I would say start with a plan. The plan may turn out to be awful, but at least it's a plan. Get a yellow or white ruled notepad out and a pencil, something old-fashioned, and sit down and jot down ways to come up with money, ways to save money. And when I say save money, not spend as much money, where my money is coming in. So budgeting, that kind of thing, it's all part of the plan. For us, we talk about why a lot, Brad, right?
Right.
Our why. Well, initially for me, my why was much different than my why now. And it transformed over time. My initial why was, well, I've got to pay off $19,000 and I got to come up with it the next 6 months. It had to be done. It was a loan for a business, another story for a different day. And so I sat down and, okay, where can I come up with money? So it really wasn't about emergency fund for me to begin with. It was about how to come up with $19,000 to pay an individual off. So not that they were threatening to sue me, but so that never came to that. And I just finally drew a line in the sand saying, I'm not going to borrow money. So I got 6 months to come up with $19,000. And it was things like, well, I'll sell my extra pickup truck. I'll do this. I'll do that. That was part of the plan to begin with. Because when you've got a plan, you've got something that you can make an actionable step towards.
Right.
And so if your goal is $1,000 emergency fund, come up with a plan. What are some ways I can come up with $10, $50, $100? Some people that's easier than others. And then execute the plan. You'll be surprised at how quickly it can happen.
Yeah. When I started, I had just bought a car. or financed a car. I didn't buy it because the bank still owns most of it, but I couldn't afford the payment at all. I had no idea. 7 banks turned me down for financing because the dealership finally had to change my income on the application until someone would give me the money to get a car that I had to have because the other one that I had needed way too much maintenance to be worth it. And now I had a car payment after many years without it that I couldn't afford. So I literally joined Roots the next week. I put it on a credit card and I haven't looked back. Thankfully, I've fallen off the wagon plenty of times. I've rebuilt my emergency fund so many times, but it really is, you have to do it. Once you get that first kick in the gut from your debt, when you write it down, it's a really scary number. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. That was like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, for us, it was selling stuff. We used eBay at the time. Facebook Marketplace really wasn't as big of a thing as it is now. But, we've done episodes on how much stuff the American households have. So, especially if you are not great with money, you probably have a lot of stuff laying around. That's easy. I shouldn't say easy, but it's just easier money to just go ahead and maybe purge some of that stuff. You'd be amazed at how quickly you could build an emergency fund just by selling. And the other big thing for us, and I've been doing this for a while, is just like gig work. Whether that's delivering food. I know people, do like driving people places. If you have the capability to do that, picking up extra side work, doing some of that, you can build an emergency fund in some cases within a month, depending on how hard you go at it. You can make pretty good money doing that stuff. If your goal is to just get $1,000 emergency fund started.
Yeah, Amber, you're doing the dog sitting still, aren't you? Pet sitting?
We have 2 dogs at the house right now. It pays a decent amount of money, man.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think there's a lot of ways of doing it. And I think, Chris, I would kind of piggyback on what you said is in your plan is when you do write down your plan of ideas to start saving money is one of the best things is just to look at where the heck has your money been going, And for a lot of people who are living paycheck to paycheck, they have no clue. In fact, we've had another article that we featured on this podcast. I think it was this year. Pretty sure it was early in the spring, I want to say, where it was like, nearly 50% of millennials had no idea what was in their bank account. Mm-hmm. It's like, so, when you start seeing numbers like that, and then, 63% of us can't cover a $500. Well, it's, again, most people could if they were just managing their finances a little bit better, So go back, look at the last 3 to 6 months. And if you're an overachiever, go back and look at the last 12 months. Like, where have you been spending your money? And don't forget about Venmo and PayPal and Cash App and Apple Pay and all of these other ways that you've been spending money too. And just look at it. Look at where the money is going. And for a lot of us, like Ryan said, with selling stuff, the money's there. It's just a matter of making some different decisions with it. So the Totally Awesome Debt Freedom Planner is helping so many people make consistent progress with their finances. Whether that be building emergency funds, paying down bills, budgeting, tracking paydays, saving up for larger purchases, goal planning, and planning for those irregular yearly expenses that always seem to catch you by surprise. Now, the Debt Freedom Planner will help you take the stress out of managing your money. And if the thought is running through your mind, hey, I just need to have a simple tool to get my finances together, this planner is perfect for you. Head over to therealdebtfreedad.com, click on the Debt Freedom Planner in the menu at the top of the page, and order your Debt Freedom Planner today.
Let's talk about debt, baby. Let's talk about your money. Let's talk about all the good things, all the bad things that may be. Let's talk about debt.
And that sound means it's time for the celebrations of the show. First, we have Heather Blankenship paid $700 on debt immediately when payday hit Friday. I started an envelope for admission food for kids' sports, cash flowing feeding 12 high schoolers for JV this week, and so far under budget on groceries. Last paycheck was rough and off budget, determined to do better this round.
12 high schoolers.
Wow.
That's a lot of kids. A lot of hungry kids. Wow. Good for you. Gina Christie made close to $100 at our community sale the other weekend. The last week I paid that on my credit card or credit, next on my debt. Wait, sorry. Let me start that over. Gina Christie made close to $100 at her community sale the other weekend. This last week, I paid that on my credit card. Next on my debt snowball list. Awesome, Gina. Congratulations.
And Sonia Schultz-Coons, I think I've heard her name before, and it even says here she's a top contributor. Her son's car broke down, and she needed a new starter. So she called around before having it towed, and she found a shop at a reasonable price, and drum roll, paid cash for the repairs.
Yeah, that is awesome. Way to go, Sonia. Congratulations.
And Renee Abing, I went through my statements, found money, started sinking funds, created her first crappy budget, and joined Roots. She is on a roll. See, the first one is always crappy. The first couple are always crappy.
Yeah, I love that win too, Renee, because, again, going through statements, found money. See, guys, it's there. Go look. You will find quite a bit of it. I guarantee it. So great job.
And Judy Riley, celebration post. After 10 years, I just made my last installment payment to the IRS. I can now take that $320 a month and accelerate my snowball. The feeling is so liberating. Happy Friday is what she says.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I just want to say on all these celebrations, just because of what we talked about today, this is all happening during high inflation, during post-COVID money, and all these people are making progress and doing these things.
Which means you can too.
Yep. Regular people. These are all regular people.
Regular people. Yep. So awesome job, guys. Congratulations to you guys. And if you're just getting started with our podcast, or maybe you've been listening for some time and you're interested in how you can get started on the road to financial freedom, go visit our website at debtfreedad.com and sign up for our free Life Without Payments workshop, where I'm going to show you the first steps that have helped tens of thousands of people just like you and I kick financial stress and worry for good. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to the Debt Free Dad podcast. Connect with us on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at Brad Nelson Debt Free Dad. If you found value in today's episode, please leave a rating and review. We so appreciate it. For resources, show notes, and links mentioned in today's show, visit balancedsense.com. That's balancedsense, CENTS.com. Catch you next week.